The distance between Istanbul and Ankara is 500 kilometers. Our knowledge about the distance and the recording of it in the books are knowledge. The thing known is the distance itself. The same thing is valid here as well. Our knowledge is dependent on the known. In this example, the known is that the distance between Istanbul and Ankara is 500 kilometers. Instead of the rule, knowledge is dependent on the known. If the known had been dependent on knowledge, that is, if this distance had been 500 kilometers because of our knowledge, when we supposed the distance as 1,000 kilometers, the known, the distance, would have gone up to 1,000 kilometers. When we supposed the distance as 1 meter, we would have reached from Istanbul to Ankara by taking only one step. However, none of them happens. No matter what we know, our knowledge has no effect on the thing known. Only when we know that the distance is 500 kilometer miles, we know it truly. In our other assumptions, we know it wrongly. Likewise, the distance between our birth and our death and all of our deeds at this distance are the things known. The knowledge of Allah about the things known and writing them in the book of Qadar, which is the title of the knowledge of Allah, is knowledge. What was our rule? Knowledge is dependent on the known. Then the cause of our deed is not the writing of Allah. Allah knows of all of our deeds at all times with His infinite knowledge, and He wrote them in the book of Qadar. Here, the important point is thinking of the rule of knowledge is dependent on the known, together with the pre-eternity of Allah. Without understanding the pre-eternity, understanding this rule is impossible. Therefore, before the explanation of this rule, we tried to understand the pre-eternity of Allah through different examples. The pre-eternal knowledge of Allah about our deeds is never a cause of enforcement. It is only a determination. Since this is the truth, it is extremely meaningless to think of the opposite and to blame Qadar by saying, "I am a prisoner of Qadar," and blaming Qadar. Their statements mean that knowledge is not dependent on the known, but the known is dependent on knowledge. That is, according to them, Allah decided that this servant was going to be one of the people of hell, and so he became one of the people of hell. Or, Allah decided that this servant was going to be one of the people of paradise, and he or she became one of the people of paradise. However, it is not the case. On the contrary, the knowledge of Allah is dependent on the events that will happen in the future. That is, Allah knows whatever will happen, so He wrote them in the book of Qadar. In fact, people who claim this wrong idea expect the following: to be responsible for our deeds. Allah should know our deeds after we've made them. That is to say, Allah should not know about tomorrow. However, not knowing is not suitable to the glory of Allah, because not knowing is a fault and lack. Allah is free from all faults.